Hey, the lost tribes of Israel. Lost? Really?
Greetings, I'm David Brett here with Roger Norman bringing you Revealing the Truth. Today we have a special continuation and a closure on the 10 tribes of Israel, or the lost tribes of Israel. We've been looking at the history, the different things we see that connect, and we can kind of identify who Israel is today. And Roger, go ahead and lead us into the rest of this. I think we'll find it very interesting as we have the previous episodes.
Thank you, David. We'll do just that now as we take a look at part 7, Reuben and Manasseh in the modern world of today. Racial superiority is one thing we need to make very ultra clear, and that is there's no racial superiority with Yahweh. Red, yellow, black, and white, we're all precious in His sight. And when the children of Israel went out of Egypt, heading towards the Promised Land, that's a great picture for then and now and through our ages, that we're all invited to go to the Promised Land. Now, true, we Israelites have the responsibility to share with others and to help bring to the Promised Land. And in Ephesians 2 and Ezekiel 47, we see that Yahweh has in effect leveled the playing field. The strangers are welcome in. Even though you're not a physical Israelite, come join up spiritually. Yet many of the biblical blessings and promises pertain only to the Israelite nations, and the New Testament does not annul these unique blessings and prophecies. Yahshua says in Matthew 5, I am not come to destroy the law or the prophets. Next, let's look at the blessings. If we can find the nations today who have the blessings, then it's just that easy to identify the so-called lost tribes. We want to find the tribes or nations which have received these, and a few of them are national wealth and power, natural resources, possession of the gates of the enemies. And here are some of the blessings that I have shown here on the screen, and the ones that I have an asterisk by are the ones that I'm basically using in this presentation, but you'll want to look at the others also. Let's look at the tribe of Reuben, the passionate firstborn. For he, Reuben, was the firstborn, but because he defiled his father's bed, you remember sex with his stepmother, his birthright was given to the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel. Bottom line, Yahweh and Jacob could not trust his lack of self-control. What nation is that in the world today? I'm convinced it's France. Instability. Cabinets of governments which have changed at an incredible rate. The Americana, during the 70 years of the Third Republic, 1875-1945, more than 100 cabinets succeeded one another in France. And it goes on to say the main cause of their instability was the lack of disciplined parties, lack of self-control. As a result, Reuben lost his inheritance rights. Back then you could, and even now, you can disinherit your children in many jurisdictions, lands throughout the world. And though he was entitled to the birthright as the firstborn, he forfeited that. Now question, did Reuben, and we can assume his descendants, dislike the fact that he could be disinherited? I would think so. As a result, there are now forced heirship laws in France and to a certain extent in Louisiana, here where they follow the Napoleonic Code. Now what do I mean by forced heirship laws? You must give an inheritance to your children. You cannot avoid that. Forced inheritance laws, where in other states, jurisdictions, you can leave it to anyone you choose, which of course is usually your children. Ephraim and Manasseh, the birthright tribes. Joseph, their forefather, they have inherited his ability to organize and manage large enterprises. Joseph's dreams, his brothers would bow down to him. So we can expect other nations to, in effect, be looking up to these leading nations of Manasseh and Ephraim. Forgiving and merciful, that's a character trait of Joseph, which was passed on down. Magnanimous towards former enemies, as were the Scythians and the Parthians, as well as the Goths, who conquered the Romans. Great Britain, Ephraim, we have seen. Commonalities with its brother Manasseh, a common language, and as historian Rice wrote in discussing the Scythians and the Parthians, they were a people who spoke the same language and were linked by some sort of racial tie. And now, talking about language, let's take a little rabbit trail here just for a moment. Is there any evidence that our English language derives from the Hebrew? Well, according to a Jewish encyclopedia here, no evidence whatsoever. But if we look in the right places, and here's a book entitled The Word by Isaac Mosison, a Jewish man, and there's a comment regarding the book, very supportive. There is some support for the thesis that all human languages derive from a single mother tongue. The Word makes a strong case for Hebrew being that language. And that comment's made by Professor Alvin Schiff of Harvard University. The Word is a unique reference text that traces the majority of our English words back to their ultimate origin in Hebrew, biblical Hebrew. What is that you see on your left? That's a 4. What's that you see on your right? That's a 4. Looks like an upside down H, but we use both of those forms here in America, don't we? Well, it just so happens that the 4th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the Dalet, is also the numbering letter for in Hebrew. They number there by letters, as that's their numbering system. There's the D on top, and you can see how it evolved over time in ancient Paleo-Hebrew, and see now why we use 2 forms of a 4. What's that we see there? That's an X. Hey, make your mark. Sign your signature. Make a mark. Well, it just so happens that that X is the Hebrew Tav, the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And Job, in Job 31:35, says, "Oh, that I had one to hear me. Behold, here's my signature, my Tav, my X, my mark. Let the Almighty answer me." And now you know how we get that X that some folks have to sign their signature by. That's mentioned in other places in Ezekiel too. Anna, the Hebrew name, you remember her in the Bible. Her name basically means grace. Well, it just so happens that Anna, Nancy, Annabelle, Anise, Annette, all derive from that Hebrew name. Leading nations of the world that come to the aid of each other, Manasseh and Ephraim, and yet they'd fight with each other from time to time. And we've seen that in the history of our 2 nations, Great Britain and America. Leading nations of the world. Genesis 27, nations are going to bow down to you. Let's look at the tribe of Manasseh, the 13th son via adoption. Now, you'll remember that Jacob, before his death, crossed his hands, placed his left hand on Manasseh, right hand on Ephraim, thereby putting Ephraim, who was second born, ahead of Manasseh. So Manasseh, in effect, became the 13th tribe, as and Ephraim the 12th, as they are substituted for their dad, Joseph. So Manasseh, a great nation, Genesis 48. And who is the greatest nation in these last days? A nation that would possess the gate of their enemies, gates of technology, education, enterprise, worldwide military bases, abundant grain exporters, as were the Scythians. That nation, America. I used to be asked or hear this discussion in various biblical classes, hey, where is America in prophecy? I didn't know, but now I see it's all over the place in the form of Israel, speaking of American Great Britain. Manasseh, merciful and generous, rebuilding former enemies, and that's what we've done. Japan, Germany, the most generous, merciful nation in the history of our planet. And mistreated, misrepresented, yet we cannot help being generous. It's just a part of our genetic trait that we inherited from our forefather Joseph. We can't get around it. Cowboys, as were the Scythians. Scythians had cowboys who excelled in lassoing and riding. You remember Tamara Rice writing about that? Well, it just so happens we've got all kinds of cowboys right here in America. Wagon trains. The wagons in which the women and children traveled had 4 to 6 wheels. They were covered with felt roofs. Little clay models of these prototypes of modern caravan wagons have been found in Scythian burials. And yes, we are a nation of wagon trains. That's the way we got started. You might, so to speak, say we have wagon trains now and all these semis going up and down the highway. Gates, military bases all over the world. We have them. Military technology. Scythia, live and let live. That's our attitude. But and they could have conquered and occupied, but did not. Merciful and forgiving. 13 is stamped all over us. A nation born of 13 separate colonies, an original flag, 13 stars, 13 stripes, a crest of an eagle, clutching an olive branch and a clump of arrows in its talons, signifying its desire for peace, but its ability to wage war, an emblem similar to that of Scythia. There's our emblem right there, the olive branch and the arrows. There's the emblems of Scythia, very similar to ours, you'll see. An eagle with 13 arrows in one talon, 13 leaves on the olive branch in the other talon, 13 berries on the olive leaves, 13 bars in the shield over its body, 13 letters in the phrase, "Eu pluribus unum," out of one, many, one, 13 stars over its head, 13 constellations over the stars. Back then in the land of Israel, divided by a great river, the Jordan, the tribe of Manasseh was. 2 tribes, half tribe on either side. Same thing now, they're divided by the Mississippi. So in summary, from Scythia to Parthia to the Gothic, Germanic, Teutonic tribes to Britain, United States, France, and other countries. And this is just a small amount of the evidence. And we'll look at one last major evidence here in a moment as we look at the final presentation, that being the biblical blessings.
Oh, very good. Well, there's a lot to assimilate here, and if you've been following us this far, you know there's a lot of information. Information you may want to digest at a slower rate, be able to go through step by step. We're going to go ahead and offer a special DVD in which all 4 episodes are placed upon it. It's going to be free of charge. We don't offer anything other than free items. All of our literature, magazines, booklets, these are all free of charge to you, available so that you can discern and study these things out for yourself. But this is going to be available on DVD. It is also going to be available on our website at yaiy.org. In addition to that, Roger has graciously offered his expertise in answering questions on our discussion board. Now, to find our discussion board, go to our website, yaiy.org, and look for the wording discussion board or ask the elders. On there, there'll be a section for the 12 tribes of Israel in which you can ask any questions that you may have concerning the subject.
Did you know that the words immortal and soul are never found together in the Bible? Did you know that the Bible teaches that the soul that sins will die? The fact is, the idea of an immortal soul is man's idea. The Bible, however, does teach of a resurrection from the dead. To learn more, request your free mini-study, Do You Have an Immortal Soul? Write to YAIY, 2963 County Road 233, Kingdom City, Missouri 65262, or visit us online at yaiy.org. You may also call us toll-free 1-877-642-4101.
There are so many distractions today. The internet, television, these type of things, taking us away from the Word of Yahweh, in which we should be spending time in, reading the Word, and finding out what we should be doing as a people. Find out more at yaiy.org. We're back with special guest Roger Norman to take us into the last segment of the Lost Tribes of Israel.
Thank you, David. I look forward to this as we now look at Manasseh and his blessings. The United States of America. as clear to me as can be that we are indeed Manasseh. Let's look at these blessings, rehearse them. Look at them again. Isaac that he gave to Jacob. Now Elohim give you of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and abundance of grain and new wine. May people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be master of your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you. North Korea, they curse us, they're cursed. They can hardly feed themselves. South Korea, they bless us, they're blessed coming and going. Standard setters in Genesis 48, and he, Jacob, blessed them, speaking of Ephraim and Manasseh, saying, by you Israel shall pronounce blessings, saying, may Elohim make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. And who do third world countries want to be like today? Great Britain and America. Joseph in the last days, Genesis 49, and Jacob called his sons together. Gather together, and I'll tell you what will take place in the last days. And speaking of Joseph, you are a fruitful bough by a spring. Its branches run over like a wall. The archers bitterly attacked us, but yet our arm will remain firm from the hands of the mighty one of Jacob. And yes, we're very fruitful in America. We have been attacked by the archers, our enemy, here in America. Genesis 49, the Almighty who blesses you, speaking of Joseph, with the blessings of the heaven above and blessings of the deep that lies beneath. We'll look at those. Numbers 24, how fair are your tents, your dwellings, O Israel, beautiful gardens, beautiful valleys. Your seed or descendants dwelling by many waters. We'll see that. Moses said, blessed are you, O Israel, your enemies shall cringe before you, and you shall tread upon their high places. And no, we're not all lily white. We've got our problems. And we need a continual infusion of blessings. And I do expect that that judgment is indeed coming upon America, because we have rejected Yahweh's word and ways in so many ways. But his judgments are corrective in nature, as any father's would be. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, thus you shall bless the sons of Israel, and say to them, Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And they'll invoke my name on the sons of Israel, and I will bless them, even though we sometimes mess up big time. One of the blessings, all the families of the earth shall be blessed through these Israelites. And of course, Yahshua is the blessing par excellent. And throughout the years, which two countries have sent more missionaries throughout the world than any other in world history? America, Great Britain. Technology, who made the chip? Who developed that? Right here in America. Technology to rescue Russian sailors trapped hundreds of feet below the surface, developed here in America, blessing those Russian sailors. Telephone, telegraph, internet, aircraft, air travels, spectacular oil and gas drilling technology, GPS satellites, developed here in America. Technology pioneering brain surgery. Agricultural technology. We develop it in this nation, use it, basically end up giving it away to other nations to help them feed themselves. Medical hope and help in the way of blessings of care for the disadvantaged coming out of America. The fatness or the best of the earth, the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth and the abundance of grain and new wine. Let's look at the dew of heaven. One meaning of that could very well be gentleness or quietness, appearing quietly, at least compared to other nations. Quietness amidst turmoil, beauty, sparkle. That's what we enjoy in this wonderful, beautiful land of America. Fatness of the earth, the most fertile of soil and land. Abundant natural resources, harbors of safety, beautiful scenery, navigable rivers. As the song says, this land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. What a wonderful land. Abundance of new wine, exporting it. Wine exporters. Abundance of grain, grain coming and going, grain overflowing. A land of heroes. Leading nations. May nations bow down before you. He, Manasseh, shall become a people, and he shall also be great, speaking of us. And again, what is the greatest nation on the earth in these days? Well, the greatest military right here in America. Economic prosperity. And Jacob called his sons and said, Gather, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. Joseph, a fruitful bough by a spring. Its branches run over a wall. Abundant prosperity flowing out of America. May Yahweh make you like them. So others want to be like us. A language which the world wants to learn. And to be where we are. To go where they are. So we can expect to see immigrants, lots of immigrants, as the song says, coming to America. Every place that flag is unfurled, coming to America. On the boats and on the planes, coming to America today. Welcoming the immigrants. Blessings of the heaven above. Space technology. Sending men and women into space. What does it take to get there? What does it take to bring them back? What does it take to keep them there? Throughout the years, that technology brought about through NASA has brought about something called NASA spinoffs. And I would encourage you to get on to Google, check NASA spinoffs, and you'll find all kinds of abundant blessings flowing out of the heavens above where we went to. For example, breast cancer detection, laser work, vision improvement, digital infrared imaging, anti-shock garment and equipment coming out of NASA. By the way, the word NASA, what does that mean in Hebrew? There literally is a Hebrew word NASA, and it means to lift up. Houston, we have lift off. Blessings of the deep that lies beneath. Oil, gas, coal, natural resources. Question. What country has more oil and gas reserves than any in the world right here in America? And let's pray and hope that our ecologists will open up and we can go and take the wonderful blessings stored for us right here in our land beneath the soil. Drilling night and day. Blessings of royalty income to these families over and across our land. Key gates, Panama Canal. Who controls the Panama Canal? Well, you might say, well, in 1999, we gave it to Panama. And that's exactly right, we did. So who controls it in name? Panama. But who controls it in fact? Let's just imagine that shipping was shut off to American vessels through the Panama Canal for 1 hour. What would happen? It's called control de facto. In fact, gates of technology, education, economic prosperity. Just suppose Germany and Hitler had won World War II, or Tojo and Japan had won World War II, or China and Russia possessed the gates of the atom, the bomb, before the descendants of Jacob. Can you imagine what this world would now be? Your enemies shall cringe before you. Moses blessed us with that blessing, and now you know why enemy pilots don't sleep well. Armies that down through the years have liberated peoples, oppressed peoples, sacrificing lives, going forth to bring forth freedom and restore freedom to those around them. Blessed on the ground and in the air. And on the sea, beneath the sea. Greatest military in our nations and in the world's history. And all at a very great price, tremendous price. Young soldiers giving their lives for us. In effect, trying to keep the lid on this planet until Yahshua returns. A young widow. One last night next to her husband's body. Cemeteries full of those who have sacrificed their lives to in turn be a blessing to others, and yet coming right back, taking on evil, trying to shut it down in these countries Yahweh bless America. Guess what? He has. A caring nation, caring for the innocent and the helpless. I will make you a great nation. Genesis 12, Yahweh told Abraham. And guess what? A great nation dwelling by many waters, Numbers 24, he has. And you shall tread upon their high places, Deuteronomy 33, we have. I have loved you with an everlasting love, O Israel, Yahweh says of us. And truly he has. He has loved us, and oh, may we love him, the one who has poured out these blessings abundant upon us. The word bless, to make holy by religious rite, sanctify, invoke divine favor upon, to give honor or glory to as divine or holy, to confer well-being or prosperity upon. We have received that blessing, those blessings especially, to endow with a talent, beauty. Now you know why we can invent these various things here in America and in England and other places among the 10 tribes. We've been blessed with these talents to grant happiness, health, prosperity, to protect against evil or harm. That's our assignment, part of our job and assignment. So as we come to the end of this conclusion, let's think, what does it all mean to us? Number one, we're to bless others. We're made in his image. First thing he did is bless, therefore we are to bless. His word does not fail. We can realize that and act upon it. And it gives new light to Scripture based on now what we know now about who we are. It shows us our responsibility to carry Yahshua and his good news to those and in effect bring them to the promised land. Are we a physical Israelite? Sure. But spiritual Israelite, much more important, essential. And if you haven't invited Yahshua into your life and given him your life, I would encourage you to do that now. The Aaronic blessing, Yahweh bless you and keep you. He has kept us down through the years. Now, the sources that I've used, I highly, highly recommend these from Stephen M. Collins. I recommend you look at his website, get on there, wonderful information, the 4 books that he's written, and then the other sources I've used are right here, and you can stop your video and look at those. Thank you again. It's sure been a wonderful opportunity, a wonderful time being right here with you and sharing this information.
It's been a blessing, and if you'd like to contact us for further information, please do so.